I used to work with like severely traumatized kids, and one of my boys was like raised on the streets and used to eat out of dumpsters and was just as tough as nails, you know. And you know, we had a sort of a saying, he could not show any weakness at all. You know, he would meet you right there. Well, we had a saying, statements of understanding precede or coerce, which means you have to ally with him. You have to make a connection first, you know, and then you can have the authority or the wherewithal to get somewhere with him, you know what I mean? And show the vulnerability, you know. I say, look, I really need you to step up right now, and I'm going to give you some choices here about what we're going to do for whatever. And people were terrified. He ended up knocking out a couple staff members, and if people had been trained like I had been trained to like meet him as a human being, maybe he wouldn't still be in jail right now, you know.
I worked for years at Franciscan Children's Hospital, which is basically a trauma program years ago. A lot of sexual abuse on the different age units, and my kids were 7 to 12. And I mean the rates of sex. I mean it's half of the 16 kids had been sexually abused, if not serially abused, and if not tortured. And they're with us is residential 5.5 days a week. You cannot strip away their armor and send them back into the streets. Again, to teach a kid mindfulness is fine, but they also need to protect themselves. This isn't passive resistance. This isn't protest. We're not sending kids out to change the world. We're giving them a tool to protect themselves and help themselves, but you can't push them out when they're, or even the hallway or the bathroom. They come out feeling maybe good, and then what happens?
Well, like that girl, Jackie, I thought she was a classic example of somebody that you could have given a real special job to or brought into the system, and he was always just banging against her. You know what I mean? But he could have said something like, you know what, I really need you to step it up here. Let's have a little talk. Let's whatever, like, get her involved instead of just banging against her, Could have sucked her into some, relational paradigm where she would have succeeded, like, wildly, so she felt special,
What should get him out of the conflict?
I just wanted to say that I don't have any background of dealing with particular trauma and that more intense side of trying to help kids, but yet I see a lot of people who would really like to just be able to give kids some basic, self-regulating ability. And that there's a huge need to just do that little bit. And that, the more knowledge we get, the more we realize how important it is to go deeper. But since they haven't even, and especially at 7th grade, you're still being a parent telling them exactly to go brush their teeth, but yet they're trying to be brave enough to learn to take the bus or to swear by themselves. And so, can we just pull back enough to be able to get that little bit of self-regulating behavior into the school and not worry about too much about...
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's what you can tie it, right? In Buddhism, tie it. Just expedient means, whatever you can do to get people to feel a little better, then you've done them a great benefit.
I think, mindfulness practices offer a huge opportunity for that. It's just also being mindful of how we are teaching those tools, and that's where the when the two meet, when the how and the what feel just as good.
From a teacher they already have a good relationship with is anything that they teach at that middle school. The kids learn it the best from a teacher they already trust. And they're just waiting for the next grade with the teachers they don't like.
We've all experienced that personally.